A soldier and an Aegir. That wasn't a common combination in the past. A person walked out from the depths of the shadow. She was clad in black robes, but the rapier in her hand flickered in silver light. The intruders didn't think that there'll be others in the cave. They had retreated from the outpost on the cliff. The force tsunami destroyed most of the defense structures in the tide-watching section, and cut off their communication with the main forces. Endless tides and sea terrors followed closely behind, and the only survivors who made it to the cave were a soldier and a watchtower worker. They were covered in wounds, hungry, and fearful of what was behind them and what lay ahead. "Are you an Inquisitor?" the Aegir carefully asked. The rapier pointed at them easily brought back some memories. "You should recognize my sword and lamp." The woman stepped further out of the shadow. She didn't carry the fire of judgment, but the lamp was placed on the rocks behind her. The soldier hesitated on whether or not to lower his weapon. "How could there be an Inquisitor here? The defenses have collapsed. They either sacrificed themselves or retreated inland." "My mission is not yet complete. The last watchtower is still running. There are still people holding out on the cliff, and those who return to the ocean would not abandon contact with us." The woman in black looked away from the shoreline. "If you want to escape through the cave, you won't make it far without the light. Aegir, take the lamp and follow me." The faint light from the lamp bounced off the wet stone walls, stretching out the shadows of the three. "You probably heard the legends," the soldier said in a hushed voice. "The seaborns can disguise themselves as humans. They infiltrated the church, then the military, then the towns and cities. That's how the last watchpost fell." They had no way to know if the woman was an Inquisitor, the Aegir thought, but they had no choice. The Aegir knew what the soldier said was true. Before the war, the Inquisition taught them how to identify sea monsters in human form. Regardless if they were sea terrors or seaborns, they were only imitating the way humans walked, and in reality still relied on their shells or tendrils. When they trip, or when they were forced to move quickly, they would reveal themselves. But that was a long time ago. Evolution was what these monsters did best. Half a month ago, a forward operating base received a distress call from a nearby battlefield, and sent out a rescue team to retrieve a squad deep within the Sea Terror army. That night, the base fell. Its somewhat resilient defenses did not do their job, because the base was broken from within. No one knew if the Sea Terrors ate the soldiers and imitated their form, or if the soldiers accepted their change in desperation. People realized that even the most familiar faces could be their enemy in the next second. Fear and distrust spread, and accelerated the fall of other defenses. Researchers said that the biology of the seaborns made them unable to understand conspiracies. They likely only smelled their kin among the crowd who were undergoing change. They were in a hurry to reach them, to communicate with them in a form they found more accepting, to bring them home. More scoffed at the idea. To humanity, it was a war. Those within a war would only understand the enemy through what they found familiar. "What if this is a trap? She's not here to save us, but to lead us into the abyss," the soldier said through gritted teeth. Overexertion had made his eyes bloodshot. "We can't wait around for our death. You don't have a home to go back to, but I'm different. I must return to Victoria." He picked up his weapon again, and lunged at the woman. The shadows on the stone walls tangled together. One began to transform, stretch, expand, was cut and burst. Bluish-green liquid splattered onto the rocks. Some tissues stuck to the Aegir's face. He was a poor man. The one still standing wiped down her rapier. "He misunderstood his desire to attack me. Up until he died, he thought he was a soldier from Victoria, who could still return home after the war." When did he? His last battle, or perhaps earlier. He probably doesn't remember himself. Perhaps he accidentally bit off the enemy's tissue in a brawl, and the seeds of change were planted. She glanced at the Aegir. People in battle desperately want to live. It's actually quite similar to the Sea Terrors. The eyes under her hood were bright. She must be an Inquisitor. The Aegir instinctively shrunk, and spat several times, afraid that the cells left by the soldier would slip down his throat. The two continued forward. The cave began to smell worse. All these Sea Terror corpses. Did you kill them all? I can't let them all climb up the cliff. How long have you been fighting here alone? Not long enough, she shook her head. I once knew a captain. He called his ship the real Iberia. For his Iberia, he held on for 60 years. 60 years. We probably don't have that long. But as long as there are still people holding the shoreline, Iberia won't die so easily, she said softly. I won't die so easily. They arrive at a narrow opening. There weren't any Sea Terror corpses, and they smelled the air from outside. You'll have to walk the rest of the path alone. Take my lamp. What about you? Me? You still haven't noticed? Consider yourself lucky for making it this far without much smarts. There was a hint of laughter in her voice. I knew an Aegir like you. Maybe you'd actually make it to the end. The two stood still, but the shadows on the wall suddenly moved. A long appendage slipped out of the robe, wiggled, and retracted. Only now did the Aegir realize why she didn't hold the lantern herself all this time. The soldier was not wrong, but if even an Aegir could pick up an Inquisitor's lamp, did the truth about her identity matter at the moment? This lamp represents the Inquisitor, and is lit by their will. Now I hand it to you. Aegir, your path, Iberia's path, needs more light. The Aegir tightly held the Inquisitor's lamp. What about you? When I reach the safe zone, I'll get more people to come back for... The Aegir remembered her hand hidden under the robe, and realized that what he said probably had no meaning to the woman in front of him. Please, at least tell me your name. My name is Irene, an Iberian. The former Inquisitor replied, and walked towards the dark ties with her head held high.